Caitlyn Jenner is heading back to the track. Not the running track, but the auto racing track, where the one time IMSA sports car driver is becoming a team owner in the all female W Series. I'm Fox News Autos editor Gary Gastelum, and joining me in the Fox Garage to talk about it is Jenner Racing owner Caitlyn Jenner. Welcome.
It is my pleasure. So excited. We have been actually working on this for months. I've always looked for opportunities in auto racing. I mean, I started my first race in 1978, and all through the 80s was a professional driver, worked for Ford Motor Company. Always enjoyed it, follow it very closely. But over the last couple of years, I've watched the W Series, and I'm all about empowering women. And so many young people, young women growing up, they don't think of auto racing as an opportunity if they want to get into sports. And the W Series is kind of that inspiration for them to say, wait a second, I can get into motor racing and there is a place for me. Up to this point, it's pretty much been a male, obviously, it's been a male dominated sport. And as far as advertising and marketing, it's all been basically towards males. It just looked like it was a great opportunity, and was very fortunate to be able to acquire a team, a two-car effort. And I'm very excited. We started in May with the Formula One season. All our races are on Formula One weekends. Last year, we got 500 million eyeballs on our cars. It was just a great opportunity. So I am extraordinarily excited for this season.
Now, this is an interesting series. All the cars are identical. They're actually prepared by the series itself. So as a car owner, a team owner, what exactly is your role? You don't really have to worry about the mechanical side of things.
You know what? It's very interesting, especially for women. It's very hard to get time in an open cockpit, open wheel car. Okay, there's a lot that do sports car racing, and some, like we had a Lyn St. James in Indy cars, or Danica Patrick in NASCAR. But it's very difficult to get time in an open cockpit, open wheel car. I mean, it's very different to drive those cars, the setup on the car, how it works. For the first time for women, we run Formula 3 cars. And for first time for women, it gives them that opportunity to learn about these cars. I mean, my objective is I want to see, we haven't had a woman in Formula One in 40 years. We need to get a woman in Formula One, and this is the path to do it. I really feel like the next woman driver in Formula One is going to come through the W Series. We have the top girls are really, really good. And I don't know if you know Patrick Long, who's a factory driver for Porsche. He's a good friend of mine. I saw him at a car show the other day. And I said, Patrick, tell me a little bit about, the W Series. He says, oh, I know it very well. And he says, the top girls, I wouldn't even go up against them. I mean, that's how good they are. So I'm excited for the season to start. We have acquired the team, a two-car effort. Right now, we're in that next stage of getting sponsors. And the response has been so good. As you know, auto racing, the marketing is mainly towards men. Women buy so many products, so many things. This is about empowerment of women, that we are talking to some really good people, and we're going to talk to more when it comes to the sponsorship and the marketing side of this series. And I'm excited for the future.
Now, there are some people who think, look, we're auto racing, it's an open sport. Anybody could do it. It's unisex. And starting an all-female series is almost maybe a step backwards. But you think it's more of an empowering thing?
Definitely is. Obviously, auto racing, there's, women in auto racing. It's very difficult to get a ride. But where they have dominated is in drag racing. I mean, back to the Shirley Muldownys. And, now we have DeJoria and Force, Brittany Force. And they've done extraordinarily well. But drag racing is a little bit different than road racing. We haven't found that one girl to really make the move up into Formula One. And the W Series is that opportunity. And it's more about inspiring young women to get into the sport. because they have a place to go. They have a, a goal. You can start as a young woman. So many, they don't even think about motorsports as a career. And, but for the first time, hey, get into karting, start to learn the game, how it goes, start to slowly move up. But eventually, hopefully you can get to the W Series and really show your talents.
Now, you haven't named your drivers yet. I think there's only one American in the series. It's a very international series, just like Formula One. You're an American icon. Are you bringing that flavor to this team with your sponsors and your drivers? Is that an important part of this for you?
Absolutely. We have great American drivers in here, but it's so far away from Europe and what's happening over there. This is an opportunity for them. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a test session in Arizona and brought a lot of American girls down there. And we saw some real talent, especially a couple of them this one girl was only 16 years old. And boy, could she drive. I mean, she was phenomenal. And, she comes from karting, but never had the opportunity to get in a car like this. Open cockpit, open wheel car that, was really quick. It's kind of like driving a big shifter cart. I don't know if you've ever done any karting. If you drive a shifter cart, it is physically difficult to do. And these girls were really good. So yeah, I'm optimistic. I would like to have an American driver on the team. I've got a 2-car effort. The first one, what I call the A car, is going to be one of the women that I think really has a good chance to win this series. But then on the second car, I really want that to be that development driver, that young talent that shows tremendous potential. And all she needs is time in the car. She needs races. And I love bringing up talent. To me, that's by far the most fun thing. I mean, to be honest with you, when I raced in IMSA, I raced with a guy named Scott Pruitt. And I found him at a go-kart. Yeah, I found him at a go-kart track in 1983 and said, what do you want to do? And he says, I want to do this for a living. I said, well, I just started this relationship with Ford. And it took a year to get him in the car. Finally, I got him in the car and he was gone. He made me look really good. He was gone when he was my co-driver and, went on to be the winningest driver in all of IMSA. I provided him with that first step, and that's what you need. You need a break. And the W Series is the break for women.
Have you had an opportunity to drive the car yourself? Are you too tall to slip into one of those?
I'm way too tall. Number one, I'm 6'1". I don't think I would fit in that car. And second, I'm doing this to be part of a team, own the team. And I am so excited about developing the drivers that we need and giving these women opportunity in racing. So I think it's going to be great.
Now, I know you're not racing
around with stuff. I have a couple of off-road vehicles that I do races on the weekends with my son. We did a 300-miler last year, and it was great fun. But I do ask you about that weekend with my kids. Yeah.
I know you do the off-road. I know you're also very much still a car enthusiast. What do you have in your garage these days? What do you like driving?
A little GT2 RS.
Not bad.
But also, I have a 1960 Austin Healey bug-eyed Sprite. And now why would I have that? Because when I was 15 years old, my dad taught me to drive in an Austin Healey 1960 Austin Healey bug-eyed Sprite. And then a few months later was my birthday. And I went down and got my driver's license, came home, and the car wasn't in the garage. And I said, Dad, where's the bug-eye? I can finally drive it on the street. He goes, I sold it this morning. I was devastated. Gary, I was just absolutely devastated. So for my whole life, I've wanted a bug-eyed Sprite. Finally, about 7 years ago, I said, I'm doing it. And I bought a 1960, same color scheme as my dad's car. And on the back, right where it says Sprite, I put Dad's Sprite, in honor of my father, who is a World War II veteran, landed on Omaha Beach, he's buried in Arlington. He was a great American, a great patriot. And he would really appreciate that I have that car today.
That's when car enthusiasm is a lot for a lot of people, those connections that we make over the years. Looking in the future, have you driven any electric cars? Is that something you're into?
You know what? Eventually, I will have an electric car. I am absolutely sure of that. To see what Tesla has done, I've met Elon Musk. I've been watching him for years and years and years, and what he's been able to do. And I don't know, that plaid looks pretty darn good. That looks like a fun car to have. But eventually, I will have an electric car because that's the way it's going. And even e-racing is done so well. They've learned so much about battery technology and how that works. I follow that very closely.
All right, Caitlyn Jenner. Jenner Racing, we'll be looking for you in May when the W Series kicks off there in Miami.
Jenner Racing, May, Formula One race, the W Series. I love it.
To follow the rest of the racing and automotive news, head on over to foxnewsautos.com.